Hi, guys.
Hello.
Welcome to Etta, Arlene Spiritcast. If you're new to this podcast, we talk about all things related to mindfulness, magic, astrology, tarot, Reiki, meditation, spirituality in general, anything in that realm. Today's episode, we have a really awesome guest. Her name is Ronnie, also known as Angelique, and she's here to talk about her story and, all of the motivational things that she does. She's a very inspirational person, for sure. I would say she's definitely an earth angel, man. Just amazing.
She's a blessing. I mean, I always say to you often on the podcast that we are lucky to have so many amazing people in our lives, and she's definitely one of those amazing souls. And her story, we could go on for hours talking about how amazing she is. And we're definitely going to have her on the podcast again to talk more about her story, because she's just an amazing person. These are the people that we need in this world, and it gives me hope, gives you hope, gives the listener, well, this will give you hope too, that the world's changing for the better.
Oh yeah, definitely. Before we get into it, do you want to tell them where they can find us at?
So you can follow us on Twitter at edpro_PGH. We tweet a lot. You can follow us on Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest. Now we're on TikTok at Arlene. And if you go to our website, you can sign up for our email list and get a free Reiki session. We send one out once a month. Everybody signed up. We also post Reiki-infused videos to YouTube almost every single day. You can go over there and like and subscribe to get the juice. And you can follow us on Patreon if you want to support our podcast and what we do.
Yeah, so there's that. And just a reminder, we make candles. They're pretty awesome. They smell amazing. If you're curious, you want them for your meditations or your rituals, or just because, they're cute, you can find them below. And also we have our book link down below. All right, well, let's get into it. We'll have the ad, and then it's Angelique.
Here's a quick note from one of our sponsors, and then we'll get into today's awesome episode. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, let me give you a rundown. Basically, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Here's how it works.
Anchor lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today.
Then you can distribute your podcasts on those popular listening platforms, including Spotify, with a single tap. Anchor is also the only place you can publish video podcasts to Spotify.
With Anchor, creators can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, Anchor is totally free.
Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Break, and today we have our special guest. Her name is Ronnie, and she's here to talk about her spiritual journey and all the stuff that she does. So do you want to introduce yourself for the listeners?
Oh yeah, hi everybody. My name is Ronnie Angelique, but all my good friends and family call me Ronnie. And I currently am on the journey of transition. And that journey has brought me to a very wonderful place spiritually, where I'm, developing myself mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Oh, awesome. When did you start your spiritual path? When did it all begin for you?
For me, honestly, I've always been a more spiritual person. I grew up in a Roman Catholic family. And so it was very much, you had to do communion, confirmation, baptism, all that stuff. And it was about the time that I did my confirmation that I started to kind of look at what was going on with the world and like with myself, and how I didn't really follow the Bible's kind of teaching, so to speak. So I kind of started looking towards other things, and I found out about crystals, and I found out about different forms of like just putting yourself in a spiritual place, meditation. I suffer from depression and anxiety, so these things were super helpful to me as an adult, especially when trying to calm myself or find peace within myself or things like that. And then when I was living in Pittsburgh, I started to realize that I felt connected to the stories of Native American Two-Spirit people. And that was kind of when I started researching that and realizing that more cultures in the world have experiences of someone who feels like there's someone different trapped inside their body. And I resonated with that with being trans. So with that, I really started to kind of delve into that world and learn more about it, because I'm the kind of person who I don't do anything half-assed. And I really wanted to experience, everything I had to the right way. I didn't want to do anything that was going to cause me damage or harm in the future. I didn't want to do anything that was going to, I wanted to know what I was getting myself into if I chose to fully pursue that path. And so it took me a lot of time. So I really honestly didn't, it's really funny. In my business, there's something called 2 start dates. There's the day you start your journey, and then there's the day you go all in. And I think I really didn't go all in until about 4 years ago, when I started hormone therapy and I started to really push myself for those changes. So when that happened, it was like this crazy awakening for me. I found a lot more peace. I found a lot more happiness. I stopped caring what other people thought about me, or if they liked how I looked, or anything like that. And I focused more on myself. So when I started doing that, I started, looking into who to speak to in the universe, because I was like, I don't really believe in, I was like, I don't know if I really believe in God, but I knew that there was something out there resonating, right? And I didn't understand what that was. So I began this whole process of just trying to figure out what that was for me. And I think having a spiritual journey just made it really easy for me to connect with those vibrations and those things in the universe that told me, right from wrong, or helped me feel good about decisions I was making, without having to put a name or a face to it. For me personally, that's just how I.
See, I love how you mentioned the 2 spirit people.
Me too. Me too.
Ancient cultures, and especially we're Native, and in Native cultures, 2 spirit people were revered. You were the powerful, looked up to, okay? Because it's being able to embody both the divine feminine and the masculine so perfectly right out the gate is a blessing. And I can't stand the society that it's evolving, but it's a shame when people feel like they can't be who they are. And I think it's beautiful that you're sharing your story right now.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. 2 spirit people.
Yes, yeah. So can you explain for our listeners the 2 spirit people?
Well, I mean, from my understanding and from what I learned, 2 spirit people, you said it really well. It's being able to embody both the masculine and the feminine, but more or less, it was like, for instance, I always go with the male to female rationale from it, because that's what I relate to, right? So, being born male but having an effeminate appeal, effeminate vibe, you feel like a woman, but also you feel like a man. You kind of have this ability to be between both. Usually what this actually transcribes into is a transformation, which I really love. The power of that, right? To have a spirit inside of you that's so strong and so super willed that it helps to focus and change the outside of you. You enjoy having the feminine qualities. So like in most instances, thankfully, lovely, like Native Americans, having long hair is not a shameful thing. Being, wearing jewelry is not a shameful thing. And in American culture, it's looked down upon, but in Native American culture, these things are celebrated. They're actually, like you said, they're put on a pedestal. You're thought to be, something worth celebrating, or something like that's revered. And that's what I had taken from what I learned from it when I was learning.
Yeah, no, it's very powerful. And like you were saying, like, people were revered. So if we were in that time or in that place, you would have been looked upon very favorably, because you were able to, like, Arlene was saying, capture that divine masculine and divine feminine that we all have. You're able to, like, embody this and know what it's like, just like really awesome. And I wish it was like spoken about more. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure other older cultures had similar
yes. Mayan, there was even for a time Japanese cultures focused on it as well. There was a lot of different even Indian cultures and certain areas, they literally celebrated. it's considered a connection to your ancestries and having a better connection to the spiritual world. So you're looked at as somebody who could potentially connect you to the other side, to the, the unseen, because unlike everybody else, you don't live with one spirit, you live with two. But in every single culture, like, it's so funny. I think the same thing is interesting about ideology of gods. In every culture, Roman, Indian, Chinese, Japanese, doesn't matter what culture you pick, all of them had a series of gods. And if you look at them and you break them down literally and you line them up, every single man and every single woman represents the same thing. There's never any kind of split between the fact, like, you don't get a culture where, the goddess of water is the same as the goddess as the god. Even if there's another variation of that goddess that actually could be found in any culture. They just usually highlight one in specific. Occasionally, from time to time, if it was stolen from somebody else's religion, it would go into being, they would masculinize it or, feminize something that they felt was more masculine or feminine based on their culture. But when you talk about actual spirituality and you read about it, these spirits, these people, they were once things that existed, And so I love the idea of the two-spirit person being multiple people. There's no one God that had that ability. This is something that only the human could encounter in rare instances, because it wasn't everybody. Everybody wasn't born this way. So I really, really love that about it.
Yeah. It's funny too, like, when you talk about, like, gender in, like, spiritual practices, because even in, like, Christianity, like, the angels are genderless, and they're perceived how they come to you. So, like, Arlene and I are really into the angels, and, like, Archangel Gabriel might be masculine for me, but show up for Arlene as a feminine energy, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I always am confused about, like, when you have, like, I don't know. I mean, you said you grew up Roman Catholic, and, like, gender and all that stuff ends up getting wrapped up and becoming so, like, political and everything. But in these belief systems, like, some of the highest beings do not have a gender and just show up how they see fit. So it's, like, weird.
And it is documented and acknowledged throughout history as being so. So it's kind of funny that this social construct has so much, I guess in our country at least, has so much grounding. Doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm glad that people are evolving.
Have, like, in olden days, like, one of my favorite mythological scenarios is Artemis. She was a goddess who was born of Zeus, and in her she was actually raped and I believe, like, pillaged by her own father. And so when she ran to the wild, she became one with the wild, and she refuses all men, all masculine energy, and she protects all female energy, and she's known to come to you in different forms as different animals. Most people see her as animals protecting them in the woods and stuff like that. She tends to attack more men than women, for the safety of women and children. Mm-hmm. But I think that's so interesting because, and the same thing comes with how we see angels and how we see saints and different things like that. Naturally, they're all put out to be kind of men, but then when you go through communion and confirmation, you get a feminine name. You literally can pick, Angelina, or you can pick, Stephanie, or, Antonia, or something like that, based on these Catholic or Roman names. But there were no angels dedicated these names. There's no apostles or anything that are feminine, in the Catholic Church. Women or nuns are not given anything beyond, no females can go higher. They could run the church, they could run the orphanage, but they're never allowed to be anything that gets an actual stamp or name on it, which I think is really interesting. But when you're invited into this religion sect, they actually can give you a name to make you feel better, but it's like a false title, right? Because all the men's names are literally in the Bible. The women's names may come from the Bible. I think Josephine is one too. And these names, where did they come from? Who gives these names this power, right? And why is the female name not as powerful as the man name? But then in the same instance, in the same exact breath, you have stories of Michael and Lucifer. The whole theory of the movie Bedazzled is based off the idea that what if Lucifer was actually a woman? You know, what if the devil was really a woman and it wasn't a man, and that the whole scripture was wrong, and it was a way to you know, help people forget who Lucifer really is. You know, it's a comedy, it's a play on it, but it's an interesting concept when you think about it. You know, we've never seen these beings. How do we really know what they look like?
Yeah. I mean, they are genderless, you know? Like you were saying, we're projecting these gender ideals onto them for whatever,
Like,
you know,
what's the
reason.
truth?
Yeah.
That's a lot to think about.
I think Spirit Guides is like the best representation of it. I think, you know, everybody has a spirit guide that comes to them, you know. It may be an old woman, it may be a young man, it could be a child, it could be, you know, any color, any hair, anything you think of, but your spirit guide kind of, it looks over you, it watches over you, it protects you, you know. It could be as simple as a butterfly, or it could be as, you know, as strong and sturdy as a tree. It's just what you envision, it's what you see as protection. And that's an even more interesting thing, to think that your brain has the capacity to create a life that can speak to you, can guide you, and can walk you through anything. I think that, like, there's got to be something in the universe that touches you to help you do that. I can't imagine that I woke up one day and envisioned this perfect person in my mind that literally gives me the perfect answers, whether I like it or not, you know? I think that's crazy. Like, in an essence, right? Something's got to be up. I can't imagine that my brain is that powerful on its own.
It's hard. People can't understand. Like, I mean, people do understand that, but it's hard for people to understand that we're not alone, and that when we're born, we are here with our guardian angels and our spirit teams, and our spirit guides come and go depending on where we're at in our journey. So you can out endless amounts. You get as much support as you need. And people feel like they're so alone, but you're really not.
Yes, I love that.
We just can't see it. We just can't see it. Some people can, but I mean, in general, like, for some reason, seeing is believing. And people can't understand that we're in this ever-expanding universe, and, you know, God, source, whatever you want to call higher energy, but there's something greater than just this.
Yes.
And no one's ever alone, ever. Not once.
Yeah.
It's powerful, but like you said, like, how can you create the perfect being to give you the right perfect answers that you need, whether you like it or not? If we had control over that, we'd always hear what we want to hear.
Exactly. And I feel the thing about, you said something about, like, people can't believe what they can't see. I always question anybody who questions that. You cannot see air. You can't even, only when it's cold for a brief moment do you have an idea of it, but you can't actually see what air looks like. The molecule itself, or the thing that we breathe, oxygen, as a sufficiency, you really truly can't see it. Even a water molecule, what you're seeing is a buildup of something. You're seeing a shell of what it really is. So to tell me that you can't believe in something you can't see, I call bullshit. Pollen, 9 out of 10 times you don't see pollen in the air. The only time you see it in the air is when it comes from a specific flower, usually a yellow, orange, or red one. But nobody sees blue or purple pollen ever, but it exists. And it's there, and if you know where to look for it and you know where to find it, you could see it under a microscope, sure. But, you know, the ability to do that, we have to believe in these things, because if we don't, what happens? Nothing happens, right? Nothing stops the tree from growing, nothing stops the air from moving or coming and going, but it's there.
It's there and it's happening. One of my favorite quotes, I can't remember the account, but I saw it on Twitter a while ago. And the person tweeted out, and they were like, people will never understand a vibe they can't reach and a sight they can't see.
That's deep. I love that.
In human design, I'm a projector. So, like, one of my natural abilities is being able to see the bigger picture of things. And people always end up seeing the final product and never see what it took to get there. But I can see that from the beginning. So people will look at, like right now, what's happening in the world. Like, in the past, people thought Etta and I were crazy, or like didn't understand why we live the life we live our life. But now that they're seeing that society's all a joke, money's not real, they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out what we do, or how we have been operating for years, because people can't understand a vibe they can't reach and a sight they can't see.
I love that. You literally just changed my whole life with that one, and I have to share that one with my whole entire team.
It's powerful. I was like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're all here experiencing life and living our life. And a lot of the problems that exist in this world and in society are things that we project onto each other. If everybody was in their own lane and mind their own business and stop getting the affairs of other people, you wouldn't care. Like, and I'm glad people are evolving and starting to see that way. Like, we can all live and be happy and do what we want to do and be who we want to be because we're all born perfect. You're a two-spirit person. You're perfect, exactly as you are. And if everybody took that knowledge, took that perspective, we'd be in a lot better society. So eventually we'll get there.
Yeah, like the idea that we're born flawed is like the worst thing in the world, you know, like that's already setting us up for issues that just trickle down as we get older and grow. Because everybody feels that way, you know what I mean? Like there's not enough or something's wrong or they're not, quote, normal. But if you believe that you're born perfect, then you're able to like be open to thriving and, you know, aligning with what's for your highest good. Because you know that, like everybody knows what's for their highest good on the inside. It's just we let the outside world try to tell us what we need to be doing or what we should be.
Yo, that is so freaking wild that you say that. I think about like the time that I spent at the Art Institute, and I think about the time that I was doing that and realizing that entire time I was not there to do anything for myself. I was there to complete a degree so that I could break a family curse of having no children who got a degree. And then I was also there to make my mom proud and happy and give her what she wanted, was some kind of comfort in the fact that I would have like this degree that was supposed to save my soul, right? It was supposed to give me a job that's, you know, a 9-to-5 that was going to pay me good, give me, you know, all the things that you need, right? Insurance, a constant paycheck, you know, provide a future, yada, 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 all that crap. But the whole time I was doing it, I never felt comfortable. I never felt okay with it. And I was like, why do I have to follow this path? Why do I have to be on this road? Who said that this was going to make me happy? Who said that this was going to make all my dreams come true, that this was going to fulfill me in some way? Because no matter how good I did or how great I was, I never felt fulfilled. And it's so funny that after I graduated and after everything happened, I had this huge weight lifted off my chest because I was like, I did what you wanted. You know, I did what everybody wanted. Everybody got their good cheer, their good hooray in. And now it's time for me to put in the work for myself. Now it's time for me to do what I want to do. And even in saying that to myself, I still followed the social norms set by society. I still went and got another stupid job that paid really well, that made me miserable, that I clocked in, clocked out, and felt like a freaking zombie for. And it wasn't until I quit that job and started pursuing the things that made me happy and living the life that I wanted to live, like, it was crazy. I was a traveling entertainer for 13 years. I traveled all over the U.S. I managed to not only survive, but thrive. My bills were paid. You know, I was a little traveling gypsy, but, you know, I had everything I needed and I was fulfilled. And, you know, it was everything that I could ever want. I got to meet new people. I got to learn new energies. I got to leave all that old shell behind. And once I came back home from that, I was like, I can't go back to this. I cannot, I don't fit. I don't belong. This is not for me. Like, and so having that kind of existential journey just made me feel like there's so much more out there for me. There's got to be something else that I can do that's going to give me that fulfillment and respect my, you know, my journey in every aspect.
I love that. Maybe it's because we're all millennials too. I don't know. Like I'm glad that you figured that out a lot sooner than a lot of other people have, you know.
Yeah.
What your parents wanted, what your mom wanted, and you chose what you wanted. And at the end of the day, it's what we do for our happiness that matters.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what age you are, where you're from, anything. As long as you're doing what makes you happy, who cares?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had to literally call her and cry and be like, I'm not happy. I was like, I couldn't understand it. When it first appeared to me, I was working for the Art Institute in their online department, and I was making $46,000 a year. I had just bought my first car, and I had my apartment, and my rent was paid for a year. Like, I made enough money to pay my rent for a year, and that was fucking astonishing. I was like, holy shit. I was like, I literally don't have to worry about rent for the rest of this year. My refrigerator had food in it. I had heat in my apartment, cable, electricity. And I'm sitting there on my kitchen floor, bawling my eyes out to my mother saying, I'm not happy. I said, this doesn't make any sense. This is everything I wanted on my checklist. Why am I miserable? I'm begging her to answer the question for me. And I was like, I think it's my job. And she's like, but that's giving you everything that you have. And I said, well, then if that's the case, then I don't want it.
It's not
Because I
enough.
wasn't happy. And that part of me was like broken by that. And, you know, the universe works in a mysterious way. My grandfather passed away like a week later, and I took time off to go be there for the funeral. When I came home, they were like, you're going to be on FMLA, and we just feel like it would be better if we offered you this deal instead. And they gave me a severance. They fired me, but they gave me a severance paycheck. They paid me for my full 2 weeks, even though I didn't work it. And then they gave me an extra 2 weeks pay, and they gave me unemployment. So I ended up being able to leave the job and go spend the time with my family. And I was given like over $6,000 plus unemployment to do that as a, you know, hey, listen, you know, you've got a hard time coming up, but if that's what you want to do, you can do that. And then they were like, after 6 months, if you come back, you are welcome to come back to the work for us if you want to. And I was like, that's crazy. Nobody had ever done that for me. I said, I literally was on my floor crying last week, stressed out about how I was going to quit. And you guys just fired me with the ultimate walk away package. Like, thank you, universe. Because I can't imagine anybody else, because nobody knew what I was going through. You know, I'm not the kind of person who tells people that. I tell my story now to everybody because I want people to understand, like, if you're feeling that way, if you're having that emotion, that's your internal clock telling you it's time to go. If you feel any kind of uncomfort, if you feel any kind of like, you know, unease, if something feels like it's not something you should be doing right now, that's your gut telling you to keep it moving, to pump forward, to get through this, to get to the other side. And that's what I mean about like being in touch with your vibrations and your spirituality. Like, if you're in touch with your body like that, your body will tell you everything. Like, I am such a huge fan of that gut feeling and trusting it.
I love that. What I instantly thought was, you know why? Because God, source, knows your heart. The universe knew you were hurting and gave you a solution to the problem. There's always a solution. But what I was going to say after that, it made me think of a Jim Carrey quote, and he said that depression is a sign that your avatar is tired of playing the role that you're playing.
Oh.
So that's a greater question of society, is why are so many people like, we all suffer. We all suffer from some sort of anxiety and depression, so on and so forth. And for some reason in society right now, it seems like there's a huge increase of it despite the pandemic or whatever. So that's a question of society. Like, why are so many people depressed? Because you're tired of playing that role. It's time for you to listen to your heart and figure out what you really want.
I love that. And you know what's funny? I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety after when I lived in. After that event, I went through a really bad relationship, and I attempted suicide, and I had to go see a therapist. And I'm sorry that I said that so casually, but when I did that, when I went to the therapist and I started seeing them, there was this whole experience that had happened where I realized that, you know, I was like, I don't want to be on medication. I was like, please take me off the medication. I was like, it's not good for me. I don't like it. I don't like the way I feel. I don't like anything. So I started looking at holistic approaches to my depression and my anxiety, and meditation, calming, breathing exercises, and actually, funny thing, freaking yoga. Like, I'm like, how is this body exercise going to help my freaking mind, right? I didn't understand at the time, but I was like, all right, I'll try it, whatever. I was like, I need the flexibility. It's not that bad. So this whole process made me realize that there are other ways that you can acknowledge your body, you can acknowledge your mind, and knowing that state, when you get that red flag, if you can acknowledge it, you can actually change it. And so that comes back to that whole thing of understanding your body, and like that whole quote you just said about the depression. Like, literally, when I felt depressed now, or I feel like I might be depressed, I can acknowledge it, and I know exactly what to do to get rid of it. I know exactly what I have to do to make myself feel better in that moment, to get through that little bout of whatever. I know how to calm my anxiety these days. I can do it in a snap of a finger. I can acknowledge my mood shifts and changes, and I can apologize appropriately rather than waiting. Like, if I snap on something, I'm like, my bad, listen, look, I'm taking that out on you. That's not your fault. I'm so sorry, and keep it moving. Like, you know, I know how to keep my mouth shut now so that I don't snap on people, you know, so that I don't rip somebody off for something that's not their fault. And that comes with understanding yourself. It comes from looking inside yourself and fucking having that ability to understand. Like, I keep going back to vibrations and resonating, because in learning how I vibrate, I know now how I affect other people. And I can also feel that when that vibration comes back to me, how somebody affects me. And I'm so big on protecting my energy that I will literally not talk to somebody. Like, I can't even answer the phone for some people because I already know that that phone call is going to be something that's going to fuck with my mood, or it's going to put me in a bad place, or they're going to make me feel some type of way that I don't want to feel. And I will literally avoid it until I'm ready to deal with that, or until I feel like that's going to be something I can handle.
Beautiful. That's what everybody needs to do.
Yeah.
Everybody needs
That shit was not easy. I also attest that to like my near-death experiences over life. Like, I've had quite a few, and when people have to stop giving a fuck about other people's opinions. Opinions are nice if you take them with a grain of salt. They can be very helpful if the person truly is coming from a place of good intent. But I mean, we spend so much time worrying about what other people think and say and do that, have you ever noticed that you have a kind of apprehension anytime somebody compliments you? Like, if a stranger comes up and compliments you and says you're beautiful, or says you're pretty, or says something, if it's a man, you tend to think initially like, oh, like, are you hitting on me? Or are you like, it's so hard for people to take compliments and take things because they're so used to this kind of mindset that people are out to get something. Like, somebody wants something from you,
Yeah, it's that defensive mode instantly.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the queen of energy protection.
I am.
She 100% ignoring someone's text until she's ready on her list of things to do. Like, that's something that I'm learning currently. I'm too emotionally available for people that don't deserve it.
Yeah.
So that's something I've been working on is protecting my energy and like setting up boundaries and being able to not respond to somebody immediately. So I treat people how I want to be treated. I want, if I'm talking to a guy, I want them to text me back immediately. So I do. But I want reciprocated energy. And when I don't get that, then I get upset. And then I fall back into those old patterns of the person I'm not anymore. So there we go.
It takes time to learn how to like understand when you're being affected by other people and when your energy is affecting other people. Because like, we have the power to go into a room and change it if we're aware of it, if that makes sense. So like, you saying that you can tell whenever your like vibration is affecting other people and vice versa is really awesome, because it's something that you have to like learn over time, and it's easy to fall back into old patterns.
Oh yeah.
And then like you said, by understanding that, you're able to protect your energy. Because it's not all about like, oh, I'm going to envision a orb of light around me. Like, protecting your energy is in part of the things that you allow into your life and the things that you consume, whether it be social media or like what you put into your body. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So your work, you do help a lot of people. Can you talk about some of the stuff that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, where to start, right? Because I do way too much. I love being a Jackie of all trades kind of girl. So, but recently, back in October, actually, I should start in September. Back in September, I started a thing on my Instagram called Motivation Mondays. I had a couple of people reach out to me who were really looking for like a life coach or looking for somebody to help them kind of navigate their waters. And I'm in school for my master's in psych. So I wanted a job that I could do on the side until I'm officially licensed as a therapist in Florida. And so I started this kind of journey of reaching out to girls and girls reaching out to me, and I helped some men as well. And I did this little side business, and it was really great, and I loved it. But in October, a friend of mine and I linked up, and I had, like I said, I'd been doing corporate, I had worked in nightclubs, I had done entertaining, I'd done all these things, and I really wasn't satisfied with any of them because I felt like they never really fulfilled me. And I had came across a friend of mine that I worked with, and she was doing this business, and she's kind of like traveling all over, and I'm loving her look. Like, her hair is long and healthy, her skin is beautiful. And so I'm like, yo, what's up? What's going on? And so we talk, and she told me about how this business she was doing changed her life. And I was like, oh, well, that's dope as fuck. I was like, let me know. So we talked about it. And when she explained what it was and how it went, I was like, yo, I'm in. Let's fucking go. Like, I want to do this. Like, I think that sounds great. Like, and so I started doing this business that worked in hair, skin, and wellness. And I mean, it sounds kind of like, it sounds really crazy how this all ties in together, but it started off with me changing my hair and like being on this journey to get my curls back because I had done crazy things to my hair. And I really wanted to get back to being a natural curly girl. And so that was how it first started. And I wanted to make some extra money on the side. I'll be honest. I was like, yeah, if I can sell the products and make money, why not, right? But as I started the business, I started working with other girls and I was able to start speaking to other girls. And I went to a convention and we all got together and everybody got up on stage. And I realized that every girl that stepped on stage had an amazing story. They all had a crazy life or background or something wild, and all of them inspired me in some way. And I immediately thought to myself, next year, I need to be on the stage doing this. And then my mentor at the time was like, yo, you could do that right now. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, you could totally do that right now. With your story and everything you have, you could do that. So she showed me exactly how. And in the business, I get to mentor other girls and I get to teach them how to do everything from time management, how to have, better relationships with their customers, how to be a full service package, and how to work their business and do it in a way that will give them more fulfillment rather than chasing the dollar. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, money is something that everybody will have. You know, the world is full of it. There's always a way to make a buck. But changing someone's life, that's something that is so rewarding. It's priceless. Giving somebody who suffers from alopecia or eczema on their scalp, giving them relief or helping them get their hair back, that's fucking priceless. You know, helping somebody who's been dealing with lifelong acne or scarring and getting them their confidence back to not only look in the mirror but walk down the street, that's fucking beautiful in my book. And that's what I do. I help change people's lives by giving them things that are going to actually work for them to bring them confidence and fall in love with themselves again, or fall in love with their hair, their skin. And I help heal them from the inside out. So that's a little bit about my business.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you like breezed by the other two things that are pretty profound, like Motivation Monday and then the master's degree you're working on.
Yeah, a master's in psych. Come on, let's talk about
I
that.
know, she just breezed by and like, oh, it's just the usual.
No, like, yeah, we can talk about it. We can talk about anything. I'm an open book.
Just normal bad bitch stuff. Just normal.
Just normal bad bitch stuff.
Yeah, you know.
Multifaceted bad bitch stuff. It's fine.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, let's talk about both of those. Let's talk about the Motivation Mondays you do, because you do those every week, right, on your Instagram?
Yes, I do. Originally, it started out as something that I did. I did a photo shoot, and I was on this whole journey. Once again, you know, every once in a while you get to this point in your journey where you're like, I have to step it up. I have to do something better. So I have a friend who's a photographer who did my photos. And I have this friend, Jaya Styles out here in Florida, who has her own salon, she did my hair for the photo shoot, and it looked amazing. And so I did a bunch of photos, and every Monday I released a photo, and underneath the caption would be something motivational. And each motivational Monday is based off of something that I am going through in life, or something that has touched me, or someone that has come into my life that we've had a revelation. You know, so when you have conversations with your friends, you have conversations with people, you have a revelation, there's something that clicks that sends both of you off, you know, and you're just like, oh, like, so I was like, I'm having these really great moments, but they're between me and one other person. And I know if this person is going through it, and if I'm going through it, then there's somebody out here in the world that's going through it. So I was like, we need to share this. How do I share this in a way that allows people to have that connection without, you know, because some people are private. They don't want to post about it and say, oh my God, I'm going through the same thing. So I started opening up the door and opening up the conversation by having these Motivation Mondays. And I got so much good response from it. I had people in my DM saying, oh my God, your words were so powerful. They really helped me. I'm going through something. That was exactly what I needed to hear. And it was so great. And then I had people going, yo, Ronnie, we love having conversations with you. Why don't you tell us these Motivation Mondays? And I was like, what? Y'all want to like actually hear my voice? Like, I was like, this is like a thing. This is a request. So I was like, all right, no problem. We'll try it. So I moved it into being a verbal one where I get on, you can see my face, you can hear my inflection, and you can hear me tell the motivation and go through it. Some of them are much more deep and personal, and I feel like Tabitha Brown. Some of them I get on there like Oprah, and there's other times I'm like Ellen DeGeneres. I'm like screaming and yelling and having a crazy time. And so it's just kind of a vibe, you know, and I want to be able to touch everybody in another way. So I love having that. I've even had guests where they come in and we do like 30 minutes and we kind of just talk about a topic and we kind of just sling stuff back and forth, or like even like 45 minutes, I think was my longest one. And they're all available for viewing and seeing on my Instagram because I save all of them.
Yeah, wow. Okay, and then your masters, I talked to you on the phone about this a while ago. What you want to do with it is really wonderful too, like the way you want to help people with what you're learning. Can you tell us a little bit about that before we close up the episode?
Yeah, absolutely. So the goal, the dream, right? You know, the reality to be is as I go through the process, I'll be able to have my therapy license at the end of the year. And then I'll go back to school to get my doctorate because I want to be a psychotherapist. I want to be a one-stop shop for people like myself, for people who are in need. I really want to work with the LGBTQ community, of course, because that's where my heart lies. I love children. I would really love to be the person who helps children who are discovering, you know, their inner two-spirit at youth. But I really want to help trans men and women. And being able to provide that in one-stop shop, being where they can come for their therapy, they can get their prescriptions, they can get all the help they need, guidance, you know, and then everything that I've gone through in my journey, I want to make it easier for the next generation of men and women by providing the referral sources. So this degree will literally be a stepping stone to changing the way things are done. You know, we'll have a facility that will actually put forth the place where you can come get your references for your doctors. You can get your references for, you know, your surgeries. You can get your references for, you know, the best places to go that are going to treat you the way you deserve to be treated and not how they think you should be treated, you know? And so that's pretty much my end game goal with this degree and this pursuance that I'm doing and all these crazy late nights and early mornings and theories and stuff like that. And I love it. And it's the first time in my life that I'm in school that I'm doing exceptionally well at something. And it makes me feel really good because it makes me feel like this is what I should have been doing my whole life.
Pushed into purpose. You're pushed into purpose. That's next level. That's amazing. I can't even. Like, you're inspiring me to want to do more. What? Okay. That's crazy. Like that's amazing. You know how many people you're gonna bless just having that available? Like that's why we go through the stuff we go through to create these amazing people like you who are here to change things.
Yeah, I just never want someone to have to go through, you know, outside of willingly, but I don't ever want someone to have to go through what I went through, to struggle for the years that I struggled for, you know, to have the questions that I have. Like, the research is deep, and I know that there's people out there who don't have that connection, and I want to just have that open and available. Even if they don't live in my state, even if they don't live in my city, they could call and be like, what do I need to do? And I could refer them and reference them and, you know, help them and assist them. And I have a network already built because I've lived in other states. So I have that network with states that I've been in, and I know their rules and their regulations. And as I grow and do more, I'm going to, you know, eventually have everybody and be able to help anybody anywhere. And that's the major goal.
Wow.
Can't wait for it. It's going to be big. That's amazing.
I know. I told you.
You told me that. I didn't, like, just that whole, that's not what people, I mean, normal people don't think that big. You know,
No.
You're given that for a reason, and it's going to be life-changing for a lot of people, and it's going to set the standard for, you know, change the game on what it is for whatever you're doing, you know. It's going to change the game.
I love that. And, you know, like, I think it's so funny that we talk about that because, like, I see the bigger picture of what I'm capable of. But for right now, I want to help, you know, every person I touch now, too. I want to constantly be a source of inspiration. I want people to know that no matter what you go through, you can still do more. And there's always a person that you can help. And if I only help one person a day, there's 365 days in a year, and I'm 34 years old. Imagine the impact that has. And helping someone doesn't require you to take money out your pocket. It doesn't require you to exert more energy than opening your mouth and saying, good morning and how are you? And really listening to somebody. It's as easy as breathing. It really, truly is. And you make a difference when you just check on somebody, you know, saying hello, having a conversation. It's crazy. People put so much weight on a change, you think you have to move a mountain, and really one pebble at a time will move the mountain just as well.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you, for sure. Definitely. Because if everybody adopted that type of, like, love, you know, just on the small level, like you were saying good morning, genuinely, like, connecting with people, look, having your best intentions, you know, if everybody did it, it would change the world. So, like, you can do it now. Like, each one of us just doing that now is us doing big things.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, if I did it like today at the Starbucks counter, I told the girl she was absolutely gorgeous and the sun looked great on her skin. And then like you go and you do it to somebody, you know, you talk to, and Ashley does it to somebody she talks to. And then the next thing you know, we just help those 3 people, and they're going to go be nicer to somebody. And then those people will be nicer to somebody. And imagine that web you send out of positive energy, of good well-to-do intention. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It is truly. People, I don't know, what discredit or undermine their importance in this world, and the smallest actions can make the greatest difference. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know a lot of amazing people. Every day that we connect with over the years, period, everybody, including you, Ronnie, are amazing. And understanding, like, we're so blessed to know so many great people. It's something. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, Source Universe. Thank you for blessing us with such great people, because it's not normal. That's something I realized. Like, I thought, knowing as many great people as we know, I thought that was just the standard, and it's not. So it's a blessing. It truly isn't.
Yeah.
Well, everybody that we know at the next level doing big things and have big visions, and all come from a place of love. It's all unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So is there anything else you want to add for our listeners before we close up the podcast episode?
I mean, no, just my message. I mean, take it with a grain of salt, you know, do what you can. No one has to be a superhero, you know, from a comic book to change lives. So, you know, just do what you can, be good to people, be the light you want to see in the world, and be the change you want to see in the world. Don't wait for somebody to change it for you.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you.
I had too much coffee, and I'm super hyped now, and I feel like I'm pushing my purpose further from doing this.
Yeah.
She's motivated.
It's that easy. It's that easy. It is that easy. It is that easy. Treat people how you want to be treated and be nice.
Yes.